Alhamdulillah wahda, wassalatu wassalam ala man la nabiyyu ba'da. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi Lailatul Qadr. Wa ma adraka ma Lailatul Qadr. Lailatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. Tanazzalul malaikatu war-ruh fiha bi'izni rabbihim min kulli amr. Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Sadaqallahu al-azim. قال الله تعالى في شان حبيبه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. صلوا وسلموا وبارك على محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The subject matter for discussion today is Lailatul Qadr, and I think by now there's so much has been said and written about Lailatul Qadr. It leaves very little for me to say. However, I will just want to concentrate on one or two things and to emphasize the fact that when we talk about Lailatul Qadr, we basically are talking about the night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided. You know, it's such a great night, the night of power. And why is it such a great night? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to have a discussion with us. I mean, when Allah, the creator of this great universe, with trillions and trillions of cosmoses and stars, decides to have a talk with you and I, has to be important. And we need to start thinking about the importance of this night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, Inna anzalnahu fi Lailatul Qadr. And you know, the beauty of it is in this surah, in this chapter, Allah doesn't mention Quran. He mentions it. Inna anzalnahu, it, fi Lailatul Qadr. That it was revealed in this night. Now the question arises, well, how can we say it was in the night of Lailatul Qadr or the night of Ramadan? Because Allah says so. Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran. So it has to be in one of these nights of Ramadan. Right? The argument then is, and we've heard it so many times, that we have to search for the night. And I will tell you why we don't have to search for it in the month of Ramadan. We have to search for it every night of our lives. We have to search for this Lailatul Qadr every night, 24/7, every day of our life. And I will show you just now, inshallah, why. But, just to confirm, in Surah Dukhan, Allah says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. That it was revealed in the night of Mubarak, right? Where the night keeps growing, where they full of mercy, rahmat, where there is stability and peace and abundance. And then Allah says in Surah Ibrahim, Kitabun unzila, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka, Kitab anzalnahu ilayka, litukhrijan linnas min az-zulumati ila an-nur. That is the bottom line. Min az-zulumati ila an-nur. Min az-zulumati ila an-nur. Min az-zulumati ila an-nur. Allah says this again and again in the Quran. And in chapter 33, verse 43, He says it there also. What is this from darkness to light? Min az-zulumati ila an-nur. If you look at the history of man, specifically before the Quran was revealed, Arabia was in darkness. And the Quran came with the assistance of the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to take the people out of that darkness. And I'm not going to go into the details what the Arabs were doing before Quran was revealed. We all know the history. But that darkness, the Quran came to change into light. Brothers and sisters, if we look at our lives, are our lives in darkness or in light? Or in the nur, nuru samawati wala? Is it? Ukhrijat linnas min az-zulumat ila nur. We have to examine our lives very, very carefully to find out whether we are in the darkness or we have arrived in the light. Maybe we haven't arrived. Maybe we're still trying. But are we trying? The next verse, Allah says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. You know, there are certain, in fact, 11 places in the Quran where Allah uses this verse, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ. And who will explain to you what this night is when he's talking about Lailatul Qadr? Elsewhere, he's talking about other things. And because this is so important, that Allah takes the responsibility Himself to explain to us what this night is. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ. Who will explain to you what this night is? Then Allah says, Lailatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. This night is equivalent to 1,000 days, 1,000 years, right? So it's 1,000 months. Sorry, yeah. Alfi shahr, yeah, months. Now, you know, we're not going to go into the history of the Arabs before the Quran was revealed, whether they knew more than 1,000 or didn't know, etc., etc. But 1,000 explains to us a number, and a number that you cannot fathom. I mean, you can calculate it, 83 years and some months, but doesn't mean that. It means that this night is greater in number than many months. It is beyond your comprehension. So because it is beyond our comprehension, we have to treat it with that kind of respect and understanding. But the important thing is what happens. What happens when we understand this importance of this Lailatul Qadr? تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. تَنَزَّلُ. And Riyaz asked me the other day, what is the meaning of تَنَزَّلُ? This word تَنَزَّلُ is in present tense, imperfect tense, which means it is part of the past, is part of present, and is part of future. It is now, it is happening. When I finish talking, it will still be happening. When we get in our cars to go home, it will still be happening. It will be happening tomorrow. It will be happening for the rest of our lives, daily, every second, every moment of our lives. This tanazzalul malaika will be happening. Like we say in Surah Fatiha, Iyaka na'budu. There are many examples like this where the imperfect tense is used. Na'budu is also imperfect tense. You alone we serve and worship. Now, yesterday, tomorrow, next second, next hour, 24/7. So in the same way that we are saying, you alone do we worship, if we're doing this service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah does what? Tanazzalul malaikatu war-ruh. The permanent values of our lives. What are the permanent values? Iman. We have to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the rest of the concept of Iman perfectly, all the time, and with haqq. You know, there's one place in the Quran only Allah uses this word, mu'minina haqqa. Who do you think he refers to? Not you and me. We, of course he refers to us as mu'mins. But mu'minina haqqa, who is referred to? Those people who had left their homes and made the hijrah with our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and those people in Medina who were prepared to share whatever they owned with the muhajir. Allah refers to those two groups, mu'minina haqqa. The truthful believers, they were the truthful believers. They were prepared to give everything up for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not for Muhammad, not for Khadija, not for Aisha, but for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the emulation, that is the copying that we have to do. So this permanent values is Iman. Like the Iman that was in the heart of the Muhajir, like the Iman that was in the heart of the Ansar. Besides that, there are many other things that fall into the permanent values. Justice. Justice for ourselves, our families, and we have to speak out against injustice, even if it is my brother, my father, my mother, myself. We have to speak out against injustice. These are the permanent talking lies. It is so easy to talk lies. We talk lies at the drop of a hat. What Allah says in the Quran? La'natullahi al-Qadr. Literally translated, it means the curse of Allah is on the liar. I don't want to use the word curse of Allah because Allah is not an emotional being. My understanding of La'natullahi al-Qadr is that our lies drive us away from the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine that happening to us. That the bounty of Allah is there for the taking. But because we speak lies so readily, we don't experience that bounty. One day a brother of mine, I don't mean my biological brother, a Muslim brother of mine, asked Aziz, I pray so hard, I do try and do everything, yet man, I'm not coming right. So I jokingly asked, I said, when you last spoke a lie? Hell, he got a shock of his life. He said, "No, what are you saying, man? I don't even think when I speak a lie." I said, "Well, that's the problem. And it applies to me just as much as it applied to that brother. We speak a lie like that. My car is the fastest car. It's not a Ferrari, but how can it be the fastest car? You see, it's a lie. It's not an M3, how can it be a fastest car? It's a lie. My football team, Liverpool, is the best team in the world. I don't know if they're winning or losing tonight, but it's still a lie. You see? So we have to be very careful. And these are the permanent values. Our relationship with each other. Our relationship with our wife. Our relationship with our... We will not talk about my son got involved in drugs, got involved in this. Oh, he's having problems with his wife. Where is the concept of permanent values in our lives? Did we train our children properly? Did we bring them up properly? We didn't. So, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ, that every second, every nanosecond of our lives, the malaika have been sent to assist us to make sure that we are on the right of Sirat al-Mustaqim, that we are on the permanent values. That is what it means, tanazzalul malaika, and it happens every second of our lives. But for that to make a difference, we need to be ready for it. And how are we ready for it? How will we be ready for it? It is in the Quran. The Quran tells us how we can conduct our lives. And the more we get closer to the Quran, the more we try and understand the Quran, the more we talk, make friends with the people who are with the Quran, the more we will understand this tanazzalul malaikatu wa ruh. You know, you're searching for what? It's here, Allah is telling us. And we must get used to the idea of from darkness to light. Must get used to that. That we must realize in our hearts that we are still in the dark. We are still in the dark. We need to move towards the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the light is the Quran. Allah is not going to send another Nabi, or He's not going to come down Himself. He's sending the Malaika, but we don't realize that. It doesn't infuse our lives. We don't see the difference because we have moved away too far away from it. Of course, someday we'll talk about this whole concept of Malaika, and you will notice that I try very, very hard not to use the word angels, because Malaika are not angels. Angels, the word angels is used to explain the concept of Malaika to those people who don't understand it, maybe non-Muslims or Christians, etc., etc. Malaika are Malaika. And what are they? What is their responsibility? Inshallah, one day we will discuss that. They come down, and with them is the ruh. And remember, the ruh has been put in our bodies in a stage that would help our personalities to develop to greater heights. And the ruh is the divine energy that Allah has put in our hearts. It's not the life. And the ruh assists the nafs, our personality, to develop. And Allah is continually trying to assist us with that development. But it is us, our brother Shaitan, has got so much of a grip on us that we can't get to it quick enough. Then Allah says towards the end, Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Salamun, peace. And the order that should prevail in every aspect of our human life forever and ever. Fajr here denotes the time when darkness moves away and light comes into our life. Like in the morning when we wake up, when we wake for Fajr Salah, just after Fajr Salah, the darkness dissipates and we can see where the sun is going to rise, the light coming up. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this strength to continue in this life towards understanding the Quran. And by understanding the Quran, Allah must assist us to recognize the permanent values that He talks about in the Quran, so that those permanent values become part of our living, part of our lives, part of our lives of our friends, our families, and the community in general. Before I end, I would like to mention half a share. It's a nut share, and the other day my brother was saying that we should have a Milad Sharif, and Aziz will give the talk. So I'll read the share. This is not like an ordinary share. Just think about it. Naqsh Nabi Pak hai tere khak par. Naqsh Nabi Pak hai tere khak par. और कितना उरूज ए ज़मी चाहिए. Those of you who understand Urdu may have understood it, but let me explain. The footstep of the Nabi is on your sand. O earth, what more status do you need? Yeah? Think about it. नक्शे नबी खाक है, नक्शे नबी पाक है तेरे खाक पर, और कितना उरूज एज़मी चाहिए. The footstep of the Nabi that brought the Quran, that taught us what is darkness, what is light. That Nabi's footstep is on your sand. What more status, O earth, do you need? Wa akhiru da'wana, and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum.